Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Blind Spot. Another great episode. I love what they did with this episode. Obviously, I was wondering how they're going to play into it, because at the beginning it's like, oh, it's 1994. It's like, okay, so what does this have to do with present day? What's interesting is how this whole tattoo situation worked, because this tattoo, in particular, is one Patterson. It was one of the first ones Patterson System solved, back in the first season, and basically it led to this bomber dude named Marcus Dunn, but he had died. But there were a lot of copycat stuff happening, is what everyone assumed. But this new tattoo brought up the information and no, it's pointing you in a better direction. It's so interesting because it's without the new tattoo. Because that's setting up some interesting things that basically, as we already know that the new tattoos reveal new things, but it's this is something they already knew, but they didn't realize it was something until the new tattoo added more context to it to make it go, oh, he's not actually dead, that this is all a setup, because there's more information added to it. So I guess, because it goes back to how much of this is Roman and how much is someone else. How did Roman construct this? I mean, to be fair, the whole situation, Shepard came up with this in the first place. So once again, this comes back to how much does Roman remember, because if Roman remembers everything, he might know exactly how to piece it all together, because ultimately the solution to figure out how to solve it was because of Roman. He gave them what was necessary, because it's Marcus had not changed up his little hidden messages because he thought it was smarter than everybody, but because of that, they were able to figure it out. But that was because Roman had figured it out. So it's Roman doesn't seem like the smartest. He's very good. Obviously, we're going to dive into that later on in this recording, but it's he doesn't seem like that smart. So it's how did you pull that off? We still don't even know how Shepard came up with the information. That's still something we don't know. How did the tattoos come to exist? Is it just because of Shepard's big time knowledge? How does she orchestrate everything to play out the way it is, everything to lead up to what she ultimately wanted Sandstorm's plan to be? How was that a thing? How did that happen? And I'm curious, how did Roman do it? Was it the same person? Was it a different person? What role does this all play? What role does Roman play in this? But I mean, even just aside from that, luckily they were able to stop the guy this episode. But so much amazing stuff went down this episode. I mean, for one, I love that final thing where it's Jane and Kurt stopped the bomb, which is it's a little it was a little foreshadowed, because earlier that episode you had Kurt getting in the bomb suit and trying to stop a bomb, but it turned out just being a note in the back of a truck. What I love is the fact is that Tasha made a comment of well, even if you had zero training, you still would have done it anyway. And she's I'm surprised Jane didn't just come running up just to be by your side and the whole thing. I was that's so cool. And then later on, they're there pulling the bomb out together. And she's it's kind of hot. And he's well, you're a very special lady in Patterson. You guys are still on comms, I'm it's so adorable. I feel we've never seen them be this adorable together. Because it's always oh, there's maybe there's something between us, maybe there's not. And now it's all of the BS is out of the way. They're a couple, they're married, they're husband and wife. It's yo, we can move past that. They're all flirty and stuff. I love it. Because I also love that this episode also included their wedding video, and I love it. Is it really quickly? I'm curious. I probably won't look into it, but it's funny to think about it in the back of my mind. It's probably not true, but every time Patterson popped up, it made me think. I wonder, did Ashley Johnson improvise some of that or not, or was that 100% planned? Because it's just in the way it's done makes me kind of think Patterson, Ashley Johnson, she improvised that. Just her be photobomb. Patterson, it's a video. And then her showing up in Hearst's video and be oh yeah, I met this awesome guy that I'm in love with. And then she's handing her shots. I'm it didn't seem like that was flying. It could have 100%, which is kind of interesting, because it almost shows you that when it comes down to it, Patterson's kind of a party animal, isn't she? She seemed like she might have been a little drunk, but maybe that was just me. I don't know, when she was tilting down in front of the camera like that, I literally, you can't see this because it's just audio, I literally made the motion too, I'm recording this. I feel like such an idiot for doing it. It just seems so interesting to me. But I did appreciate that little lovely, video. I love how they're cutting back and forth between that in the episode. Just all the nice things Reed and Tasha saying basically oh, you guys are the most tough people, but you're going to be great together. Don't screw it up. You have her being hey, even when things get tough, you kind of feel you kind of want to give up on things, but it's like, no, it's in moments like that you lean on people the most. And then I love the fact that you have Patterson being like, okay, you guys are like Dungeons and Dragons, you know, if life was like if life was like Dungeons and Dragons and compared into Dungeons and Dragon characters, which at the end you see Kurt like fast forwarding, it's like, how long does it goes on for a while. I loved it that she kind of nerded out, which is kind of interesting because I don't know if she's done it a lot. I definitely know she's done it at least a few times, I think. But Ashley Johnson has done Critical Role, which is like Geek and Sundry's Dungeons and Dragons. It's like a lot of voice actors get together and do it. I haven't watched a lot, but a little bit I have seen. Like, I really liked it, but it was just immediately that made my brain go. I was like, I was just like that. Nevertheless, two big acting things, just actors in general. One, you had that sheriff. His name, he was the one that was like, oh, don't worry about it. He called Tasha Darling. She's like, did you just call me darling? And then you had Reed being like, just stop. Don't worry about it. And that's Brett from the Marvel TV shows on Netflix. And he's only popped up in two, mainly Daredevil. He popped up in like one or two episodes of Jessica Jones, I think. But the other one is, I don't know the actor's name, but he's from the original CSI. And I think the most recent thing he did, at least that I'm familiar with, he played Quail in season 1 of Colony. So it was kind of interesting seeing him in this show. He kind of had like a similar thing. Like, it seems like he's like some top level operative. He was in, I think he was just some analyst or something in Colony. But nevertheless, his name is simply just call him Rossi in this show, but it seems like he has a connection to Jane. He actually knew her back in the day. He doesn't know everything about what Sandstorm was up to and everything because he didn't know that Jane's memories. Oh, you don't remember? He's like, I was like an uncle to you, which is kind of interesting. Which Jane was super pissed about that because it's like Roman's throwing more stuff of her past in her face because it's like, oh, this guy was like family to me, but it's also put like daggers in her heart because it's like, I don't remember him. And also it's about a past that she really rather forget about because like for her, it's all about the future. But I think that's something this season is going to tackle too. It's a whole past situation. So much. I apologize for being all over the place. One thing, Hearst wearing that jersey for like 95% of the episode. I love it. I love that we kind of get to see that she's not just some like tough boss. That she has a nice personality. So there was a quick thing I wanted to bring up too. It's the whole, I'm all over the place. Okay, I'll get back to it. I'm sorry. I'll come back to it. Hopefully I don't end up forgetting. But for Jane, it's just like she'd rather just focus on the future, you know. So, but Roman's making her confront the past and everything. So, but it seems his particular skill set is the fact that he's very good at making people disappear. That's kind of finishing up what I want to say there. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the fact is that, like, it could tell me by surprise, but Jane actually came clean about, like, yeah, Roman called me last. I was like, what? You actually you told Kurt? You're telling the team? Whoa, that's good. No secrets. And then she's like, well, as long as everything's out in the open, like, Roman won't have any ammunition to use against us, which Kurt still hasn't told her about Berlin, which is like, whatever it was, it's so bad that he doesn't want to tell her, even under these circumstances, knowing that Roman's going to use it against him. Already has, but will use it against him in the future, probably with tattoos and stuff like that. It's the fact, probably even more, like Kurt's going to do stuff for Roman without really realizing what the ramifications will be for. It's probably going to be like, oh, Roman needs him to do this, and ultimately that thing will have like ramifications much later on in this season and consequences that Kurt didn't see coming. Just because he loves and cares about Jane, he didn't like. It's like, is it something bad he did? Like, what was so bad he can't tell Jane even now under these circumstances? You know. But the question is like, you know, Hearst was like, oh, do you have anything to tell me? It's like, Reed's like, no. But immediately my brain is, because I think I brought this up recently. I don't remember if it was last week's episode or something, but I was like, there's still that Freddie situation. Like everything that went down last season with Freddie and Jones, that situation is still out there. Plus him and, Patterson, him and Tasha didn't mess with a lot of evidence. Tasha in particular messed with a lot of evidence to kind of keep him out of trouble. Like Roman probably knows about that. He knows that team inside and out. So most likely that's something he's going to use against him. I'm just waiting for that to pop up again in Reed's. Like it ended okay with the evidence being tampered with and everything, but it's like there was kind of some stuff like here and there, like, oh, like maybe it's like, well, no, it's all been taken care of, but I'm just waiting for that to rear its ugly. I think that's going to be, because even Hearst was like, don't make me regret giving you this job. It's like, that would be the biggest thing. Like, I feel like that's the biggest thing that's happened so far in Reed's story is that whole thing. Like, yes, he didn't kill Jones, but still evidence was tampered with. He kind of helped cover up everything. So he has motive, possibly, you know, if they dive too deeply into it and everything, his connection to Jones and stuff like that. So it turns into that type of situation. So I'm curious. I might pop up, you know, we might get a situation where Roman makes Freddy's body pop up or something, like tracked him down and killed him or something, and then it turns into a whole ugly situation of like now that drags that whole situation. I don't know. I'm just halfway expecting that. I'm sure with Tasha, it's already some CIA stuff. We learned from the very beginning there's some stuff that's connected to the tattoos that her and Keenan don't want anyone to know. So that's most likely that. And obviously, like I said, with Kurt, it's the whole Berlin situation, whatever that may be. Now, what I also appreciate about this episode was like Roman sending that message at the very, editing it into the video. I guess I didn't get the invitation, and he's talking about the fact is, sis, you're never gonna love anyone. Why? Because you're broken. Much like Roman has that whole issue of like, oh, I can't really love anybody just because of his upbringing. Like it's so ingrained in him that he doesn't really have empathy. He can fake it and stuff like that. I guess arguably, like I said, Roman got it harder than Jane. We learned that last season. He definitely got it the worst. Jane got it too, but I guess, you know, Shepard probably shaped her to be like, on some level, Jane is still Remy. Which I guessing that's really kind of ingrained in her, that no matter, even if she doesn't remember, like there's a part of her that will probably still act like Remy and still be under the circumstances. And even talks about her and Kurt, like he's like, you know, your whole relationship is based on a lie. Not only about his aspects, but I'm sure that's him throwing shade, because let's not forget, like it's like, oh, I thought you were just, you know, it's like he thought she was Taylor, turned out she wasn't, and she was implanted into the FBI. So like this bond he built with her is built on a lie. So your entire relationship, but it's like, you know, relationships have good moments and bad moments. They shape who you are, and it's like the good and the bad, it got them to where they are. But that's going to be an uphill battle, because like Roman's going to do everything he can to break up the relationship, because it's like, yeah, ultimately she's going to leave you all alone, you know, like turn her back on you like she turned her back on me. So I'm sure with no help from Roman, I'm sure, obviously, you know, I'm saying that sarcastically. I don't know if I said that in a sarcastic enough way for that to come across. Nevertheless, so I'm interested to see like what he has up his sleeve, especially because of what he did this episode, pretending to be Tom, going to like some event and meeting this lady Blake. Once again, showing you how much of a good operative he is doing what he did. Like, he's such a good liar, because obviously putting on the accent and everything, but he meets the lady who's running the charity event, Blake. But what got me was the fact is he put it on that bracelet, that tracking device. I'm like, because I was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, are you flirting with her because you kind of like her? I mean, obviously she likes you. It's like, maybe you kind of like her. I'm sure you're faking it, but maybe ultimately be like, well, the fact that you were faking it, but now you kind of like her. It's like, no, it was all for the point of getting closer to her, because he put a tracker on their bracelet. But then the question I was asking just now was like, how did he know to do that? Why that object out of anything? Is it because he picked it because it's like, oh, this is an object, and I can, once it happens, I can overpay for it, like, because he put like 20 G's down for it, even though she was only asking for like 1,500 at a time. And then like she's like, oh my god. And then like they start talking. Obviously he uses Tom's backstory about being a soldier and losing a best friend, coming into money, that whole situation. Like, the first moment he mentioned being a soldier, I was like, oh, are you and I was like, no, he's referencing Tom's story, not himself. So that was kind of interesting. And like I say, it's like there was a rapport, there was something happening. It's like some bubbly feelings happening there. I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Which is ultimately super sad too, because it's like Roman's just manipulating and using you. So ultimately, we'll just have to wait and see what that's all about. But it's like, why her? What's so important about her? You don't know. There's so many threads. We have no idea how they all connect, but ultimately they all do connect. Because at the same time, we have Patterson and Tasha also doing some undercover work. Actually, undercover work is the wrong thing. They're doing secret work. Obviously, their operation called Cuttlefish. Basically, they're looking into Stewart's death and his whole tattoo situation. They already know about the Van Gogh. Everyone associated with the Van Gogh, like whose names popped up, they're dead. Which obviously we learned last episode that the dude who has the Van Gogh paint, like the whole Van Gogh dude, it might be connected to the guy whose ear is going. Nevertheless, they look into it, and it seems like things aren't matching up. It seems like there might be someone on the inside tampering with things, because there was a call they got that was a tip about their last case, but it got set as a low priority, so no one in the FBI would have looked at it. But later on, they got to it because of a tattoo. So whoever it was like, crap, they looked into it anyway. All right, so let me make it so that like, oh, maybe the information was already there, so they changed it to a high priority, but they were covering their tracks. So it's like, who can do that? Has to be someone within the FBI or the DOJ, or like the guy we got introduced to this episode, I think is Assistant Director West, because what we ended up finding out is because because the government was going to take Rossi because the French wanted to press charges against him, but while he was in the cell, he ended up getting away. It's like, how the hell does that happen? He was fine the moment he was there, and then the moment he gets your custody, he ups and disappears. It's like, oh, now you want us to cover it up? But it's like, no, it's most likely he wants to work with you so he can see, like, keep a close eye on whatever you guys are doing. So he's definitely on Tasha and Patterson's list, but it's like, what does this all have to do with each other? This particular, like, covering this up, the whole Van Gogh situation, Stewart's murder, as well as, well, all that's technically connected to the tattoo, but what does that have to do with also Roman and all of this? Like, especially because Tasha caught Reed meeting up with West. And she had texted him, and he was like, oh, he lied and said that he was at home. So it's like, why are you having secret meetings with this dude for? So, okay, that's a little shady. So maybe he just asked him out, for brunch, or they're just hanging out and stuff like that. But it's like, why would Reed lie about it? So not unless this is covering up something else. I'm curious, like, not unless he's going to him for some help with some stuff that he's just keeping on the low because he doesn't want anyone involved, like, try not to worry Tasha. I mean, once again, because this whole season is going to be based on the fact is they don't know each other as well as they used to, because it's been like a good couple years since they've actually worked together, and they're very different people. We kind of tackled Patterson and Rich's whole situation, so that kind of came back to bite them in the ass. So now we're going to deal with everyone else's situations. It's like, what is Reed up to? Is this something that's kind of been in the works the entire time, subsequently, since he's got his job as the assistant director? Like, what does everyone have up their sleeves that Roman's going to ultimately use against them? Maybe this has nothing to do with connecting directly to Roman using this against them, but maybe it's connected in the same vein, especially if the Assistant Secretary West is connected to any of this, in case because it's just kind of interesting, like, oh, you just happen to show up, you want this dude, and it's like, oh my God, like, he happens to get away under your custody. It's a little suspicious. And obviously the biggest thing we learned at the end of the episode is that Jane, it wasn't even about Jane's adoption to Shepard, because she was like, Rossi sent her an envelope. I'm sorry, it's the job he wished he had never done for her mom. Which, really quickly before I get into that, it's so interesting because he knows Shepard well, because it's like, oh, the reason why you don't remember, it's because of Shepard. She pushed you into doing something, saying it was for the greater good or something like that. I was like, he knows her well. So he definitely isn't someone that was just, like, knew them like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. He really was close enough if he knows Shepard enough like that. And it's like, oh yeah, you and Roman and stuff like that. So he might be the key to tracking down Roman. He might be part of Roman's plan. That might be it too. Because it's like, especially if Roman remembers. Like I said, I still keep bringing it up. I brought it up earlier. Bring it up again. We still don't know how much Roman remembers from his original life. I mean, the point is, like, Jane still doesn't remember everything. I mean, at least not that we know of. Not unless she remembered more during this, like, time skip. We just don't know. The conversation really hasn't come up yet, but it turns out that Jane actually has an adopted daughter. She adopted a daughter 18 years ago. It's like, in retrospect of, like, the time frame in the story, like, where that falls in, I don't know. The fact of the matter is Shepard set it up because it's like, maybe like Remy wanted to be a mom, but well, no, because it could be the fact, no, because I think what was in my head was like, oh, she adopted the daughter. It's like, no, Remy got pregnant, which then begs the question, who's the dad? But Shepard made her give up the baby because it's like, oh, it'll weaken, probably something like, oh, it'll weaken you, even though, because Shepard, like, treated them like they were her children, but they were tools, they were weapons for her to use in her grand scheme. Which I'm curious, will we get any look at Shepard this season or not? Considering, like, but I mean, last time we saw her was last season at the season 2's finale, and that was Nas. Cause I think every time that happens in my head, because like Nas is from Blind Spot. Every time I think Nas is from Ed, Ed, and Eddie. It's just like, it's the same name, but it I don't know, it just messes me up. I do apologize. So that does make the question, it's like, oh, like, but then who's the dad, and like, what happened to her daughter? Because that would mean it's like 18 years ago, her daughter's 18 now, and it's like, whew, thought things were rough with Kurt having a child. It's like, ooh, he has a baby girl, you have an 18-year-old. That's crazy, especially with this whole Roman situation, that Roman's going to either take advantage of this, either he met up with his niece and knows about her existence, or this is eventually going to be something that he can use against her. Like, I'm so curious to see how this plays out. I wasn't expecting like some like, oh yeah, you actually have a child, which is so messed up considering the fact is Jane doesn't remember this child at all, doesn't remember her face or name. So it's going, these are records that were probably sealed away and hidden, especially because Rossi's very good at his job, which is like, it makes that whole situation even sadder and more messed up. So I know, I don't think they ever went into like what exactly happened between him and Allie, like during this time skip, like the whole parent thing. Like I remember she was moving. Well, no, because she moved to, like, her job was in Colorado. That's also why they moved to Colorado, which I love that Tasha and Ree were like, what do you do in Colorado? It's like, I don't know. I forgot that was the whole reason, because Allie got a new job in Colorado. We went to Colorado to be closer to his daughter, but now he's back, and obviously that whole conversation hasn't really come up yet. So maybe Allie's become more of a single parent, considering the fact that because at the time, like, Reed was so obsessed with finding Jane that I think nothing else really mattered. So maybe he sadly left a lot of his responsibilities as a dad behind. Like I said, we haven't cut to that yet. So I'm interested to see where like all that goes, especially with these new developments about Jane, whole thing with Reed, Patterson, and Tasha. Well, Tasha knowing about Reed's little secret, and obviously Tasha and Patterson kind of digging deeper into this. And obviously they're going to be doing it behind Reed's back even more so now that Tasha caught him like that. So, like I said, overall, a great episode. Really quickly, kind of some housekeeping stuff. I'm not, for one, I'm not sure if there's going to be an episode next week. I didn't really look too much at the previews, but when it said the date, instead of saying like next Friday, it said Fridays. Next week is Thanksgiving, so most likely there's probably not going to be an episode next week. It's probably going to be like a week after that, or maybe, I don't know, because we're entering like that winter fall finale type of thing, so there might be one the week after that. So all I can say is like check afterwards. I might include in the comments, like when this goes up in a couple hours, I might be like, okay, so the next episode is this date, if it's one readily available at the time. So we'll just wait and see. And that kind of segues into my next thing. If you know, like I brought this up during Once Upon a Time, but I also bring it up here. Obviously, things came up Friday. I wasn't here to watch everything and record the podcast for them, so I'm doing it now. So it's like super early Monday morning. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. You'll be seeing this maybe 9, depending on when I put everything out. So I just want to kind of throw that out there too. So I do apologize for this being late. Everything should be back to normal next week, or rather this week. So just letting you know that ahead of time. So if you ended up making it to the end of this, and even if you didn't, it's okay. I might make a video about it to go up in the next day or two, nevertheless. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.